Hey, welcome. I am Kath Nolan, once high-performing perfectionist good girl turned goddess of balance, kicking even bigger goals. This is the podcast where we make balance doable for busy, overstretched working women. Embracing your voice, your feminine power and energy allows you to truly step into greatness for the sake of you and all you hold dear. This is balance. The episode you're about to hear is one of my earliest episodes when the podcast was called Don't Be Asked and our focus was on building courage. Since then, you have evolved and so have I. You have fierce courage when it comes to others. And now it's time to balance what you're willing to do for others with what you're willing to do for yourself. Let's go, my friend. Let's bring balance into your life. Dave Thompson brings stories to the world. He's a successful global publisher, an ex-lawyer, a sportsman, near 200 number one best-selling titles in his wheelhouse. And that includes a few of mine. This is how I know Outrageous Dave. If you have any aspirations of writing a book whatsoever, Dave and his team, they're safe hands with a stellar result. Dave's also a total rebel. A well-educated dad and partner, he's got the boxes ticked on success in a range of fields. He is the rebel following his heart, making decisions based on intuition and energy. So this chat is all about energy and intuition. Turns out intuition is Dave's safety net, but he's also super studious. So all of that is backed up by research. I absolutely love it when people build systems to back up their intuition. That's what Dave's done. So we chatted about how to trust your intuition, how to cultivate it, how to grow it so that you can trust yours as well. Now, right now, I'm at home in Sydney near the harbour in Gadigal country, and Dave is a full day's drive to the north of me on the land of the Kabi Kabi people, also coastal. I think our connection to country is a beautiful reminder to celebrate our unique perspectives and common purpose. We're connected but different, different but so very connected. I'm grateful to the custodians and the elders of the Gadigal. I'm grateful to be nourished here, to raise my kids and weave my work here, to be sharing these conversations with you. And I love Dave's energy, his enthusiasm for all he does and how openly he shares the deliberate way he takes time away, time in nature, time to breathe, disconnecting in order to connect. Hopefully you'll be able to head outside now as you listen in, headphones and fresh air as you join us. Just to give us a bit of an intro. So in your words, who is Outrageous Dave?
Oh, well, so many things. So, Dave Thompson, also known as @outrageously Dave on Instagram. I am someone who believes that you can live an outrageous life on your terms. And I believe that success is different to all different people. And what success means to me might be different to what it means to you. And we need to respect and acknowledge that, because $1 million or $1 billion isn't the answer for everyone. But where this journey started for me was particularly around doing work that I felt was important and meaningful. Coming out of a career in law and just going like, hold on, I don't actually personally find this to be all that meaningful.
Yeah.
And so who am I? I'm a business owner. I'm a father now. I'm a fiance. I am a beach handball player. We go to the beach handball nationals this week,
Awesome.
Thursday. That's on the Gold Coast. So that'll be awesome. I am a fisherman. I'm a boatie. I love reading. I'm a farmer now too. We're growing bananas and all sorts of other stuff. We just harvested two 10-litre buckets of citrus off our trees yesterday.
Cool.
So I'm lots of different things, and I think it would be cool if the world started responding to like, who are you and what do you do in more than just the job description.
So true. And I think that is so particularly apt coming from you, because you've been really successful in a couple of different arenas, but you've also been absolutely a rebel in those arenas. Great success, but you totally your way.
100%, like multiple times. Like, when I was younger, my dream was to play rugby for the Wallabies.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do, except I didn't really have the physical stature to truly be considered.
Yeah.
And so a couple of years into my early 20s, I was like, well, what's an alternative? And then I found the sport of beach handball, within 18 months, I was representing Australia at the World Champs in Oman in 2012.
Amazing.
So it was an alternative pathway.
Yeah.
I grew up wanting to be on TV and speaking.
Yeah.
And then the more I looked into it, I was like, oh, hold on. I've got to jump through so many boxes to get this. And they're going to tell me what to say, and they're going to tell me what to wear. I'm like, this is not going to work for me. So I started my own podcast, 2011 through 2014. We had the number one rated podcast in the health category on iTunes, Living Outrageously podcast, 100,000 downloads, people in 67 countries. We did it our way.
Yeah.
And there's so many examples of where I've just found that success of what other people say is success, or being on TV, or being a lawyer, or, even playing rugby. I mean, I did love the sport, but success ended up looking different to me.
Yeah.
And I'm really passionate about finding out what success looks like to each individual that I meet or that I work with.
That's really apparent through the questions that you ask. Yeah. Dave, tell me about energy. Where does the energy come from? Because a lot of people have these kind of, I think a lot of people have like a wish list of where they'd kind of like to be, but taking it from that wish list to wouldn't that be nice to actually making it happen is really different. Where do you get your energy from?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is that I feel like I am a student of life. So I'm very particular about, I think one of my superpowers is I feel everything. So I can feel the current of life. I can feel, like when I go out in the boat, if there's fish around, I can feel that the fish are there or that they're feeding. Or if you're down by the ocean and the waves are coming in, I can feel the energy in the swell. And so I've started to build my life around feeling into where the energy is flowing and when, because if you're trying to swim upstream, if the river is going one way and you're trying to swim the other way, that's just really hard. And I think that's why people burn out. It's because they're not tuned in to where the current of life is asking them to go. And so part of that is an awareness of where the energy is flowing externally to you. Like, for example, in the economy, like why would you start a business in a sector where it's dying? The energy is not flowing to that sector anymore. But also internally, it's a process of becoming self-aware to know where your own energy flows and where it doesn't. So the prime example for me was when I finished my law degree and I started working as in a contracts administration job for a big mining company.
My mind boggles at that for you.
So basically what that involved, Kath, was like this company I worked for would have contracts with, say, Bob the Builder to provide 1 million bricks a month. And my job as the contracts administrator was to check that Bob had delivered the 1 million bricks as per the contract in the month said. And if Bob had not delivered the bricks, I had to raise a flag and tell accounting not to pay the invoice.
Wow.
So my job was ticking boxes.
How riveting.
And it killed me. If you want to kill my energy, get me to do that.
Yeah.
And so there was this really sharp contrast of like, hold on, this is not working for me, even though to the outside world, it looks like success because I was a graduate straight out of law school, getting paid $70,000 straight out of law school. To anyone, that is an excellent starting salary for a graduate.
Yeah.
And on a 9-day week, a 9-day fortnight, not even, every second Friday off, health benefits, like the whole shebang, international company.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is like death.
Yeah.
This isn't success.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you pay me. This is killing me.
Yeah.
And so I got the really sharp contrast. And I think that dialed me in even more to like, hold on. They told me that was success. It didn't work for me. And then I started asking the question, so what is going to work for me?
Yeah.
And then I think because I feel so much, what that's led me into is a study of where my own energy flows, where other people's energy flows, where energy flows within systems like the economic system or within a business or organism, or even within a book. And I think that's why I can coach books so fast, is because people tell me their idea and I can go, oh, that bit is just lighting up like a Christmas tree. And then they say something else. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't have a lot of juice around it. Maybe leave that out. And then they go, oh, yeah, I was only going to put that in because so-and-so said to put it in and I didn't really want to do it. Do you know what I mean? So I've really, and to back that up, I've studied heaps. I've studied energy medicine, energy healing. Like I'm trained in Reiki. I'm trained in medical intuition. I've done a stack of Tantra. I've done spiral, kinesiology, like all of the modalities and practices. I'm like sitting behind this understanding of energy and the energetic body. Like I've spent the best part of a decade studying that stuff. So, it's that plus the life experience. I feel like, when it comes to energy, I've got a pretty good handle on what's happening.
Dave, I've experienced it working alongside you and how impactful that is. But I also know that so many people don't trust it. As in, don't trust themselves and don't trust their intuition, or, how do you trust it more? How do you help other people to trust it more?
That's a great question. It does come down to trust and faith. And I think reframing the belief that, well, first of all, there's sometimes stuff that needs to be cleared away around acting on your intuition. Because when you grow up, what have you been told about acting on your intuition? Or acting
be careful, be careful, be careful.
It's witchy, or it's the devil's work, or it's I don't know what. Or you like go for the logic. The logic is what makes sense.
Be sensible.
Be sensible. Don't do the art. Don't be creative. Don't go for the career as a musician because it doesn't pay. And okay, maybe that was good advice back in our parents' era, but the reality of the era we live in now is we have a thing called the internet. We have smartphones. We can broadcast our art. So I think that's something that's really come through for me, is how important art is. But honestly, to answer your question, it is a process. What I found it is a process of continually trusting yourself at a higher and higher and higher level, even when it doesn't make sense. So I'll give you an example. So a couple of years ago, I was considering giving my whole business away. I was in a really quite a dark place. I was like, I'm just going to quit. So the cash flow in the business was going down. Things were looking dark. I didn't even have enough money for rent that week. And I had this intuition, Dave, you have to go and buy this outboard motor for your boat. Right? You and me both know boats, Kath. Now we can talk, right? You have to go and get this 15 horsepower Mercury outboard. You have to get it. Now, the reason behind that was actually to get a 15 horsepower was like the fulfillment of a childhood dream, of a deep desire. Because growing up, I was never allowed to have a motor that big. And so it just came to me. I've been thinking about it for a year, and the timing just came. You have to get it now. Anyway, I find this one on the internet that's available, and I spent my last $1,100 that was meant to go on rent on the outboard motor, because the intuition said you have to get the outboard motor. Anyway, put the outboard motor on, go out in the bay, beautiful day, so expansive. That was the moment that led to the revival of my business.
Wow.
I felt, and not only that, money came in the very next day and I paid rent just fine.
Wow.
So that's what I mean. Like, it would have been so easy to go, Dave, it makes no sense to purchase an outboard motor of all things. But it was just so strong in my energy field. You have to do this because this is what's going to open up the future. And it did.
Okay. So Dave, what's the difference between, like, I really feel as though this is a decision that I need to make. What's the difference between that? Like, I need to go and buy an outboard motor, and everything will work out just fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the difference between that and, I think I really need to buy that lottery ticket?
The lottery ticket. I think the person, well, I mean, where is that lottery ticket? Like, what's the energy underneath that?
Yeah. Does it feel different to you?
It depends on the way it depends on the tone. It's like,
okay.
is there a desperation underneath that?
Yep.
Is there a desperation? Is there a wishful hopefulness that's maybe a bit illusionary?
Yeah. So it's not based on trust. There is no trust in the lottery ticket, but there's trust in the outboard motor. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, well, the lottery ticket is like, it's the classic, like, Hollywood movie last step gamble from the person just trying to make it big, right? So
yeah,
I think it really comes down to the motivation and intention behind it. Like, for me, with that outboard motor, it was very clearly completing a childhood story.
Yeah, great.
And a loop for me, that and it was very much fulfilling a heart's desire.
Yeah.
Whereas the lottery ticket, is that fulfilling a heart's desire?
Yeah, gotcha.
Or what's the place it's coming from? Is it coming from a place of logic, or is it like, what motivated the person to buy that lottery ticket? Was it Hollywood?
Yeah.
Was it a desperate friend who always buys lottery tickets? As opposed to, and this is why, so when it comes to energy, I always like to put myself in nature, out on the boat, on the ocean, on mountains, in forests, because it's in those locations where I can connect to my own nature and then discern what's true. Because sometimes living in a city and there's all these noises and there's Facebook and there's the TV and there's just bombardment, it's like, whoa, I don't even know what's mine and what's someone else's. Like, am I just wanting to buy a lottery ticket because I just saw Tax Lotto advertised to me for the last 5 days on my phone, because now the phone's listened to what we're saying, Or am I out in the forest and actually my nature is saying, go and do this? So it's I think discernment is a skill that is learnt. And I think there is a bit of trial and error sometimes.
Yeah. I love that. This thing of, like, just connecting to nature, connecting with nature, connecting with the whole big picture, connecting with self, like almost doing that to connect to yourself. It's just been a common theme that keeps coming up again and again and again in everyone who I speak to. Do you think that the last few years, obviously, we've seen some massive shifts? Dave, can we talk about energy?
Yes, go for it.
Because you are a master of gathering energy from yourself and others. What's your advice? Tell me about your thoughts on energy and, sort of gathering the energy that you need for a challenge.
For a challenge. Oof. I feel like it comes from two directions. One, it comes from the earth coming up, and the other, it comes from the sky coming down. And this will sound quite esoteric, because it actually is. I mean, energy is intangible, right? But you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can't always see it, but you can feel it.
Yeah.
I feel like have you ever walked onto a particular piece of land and just felt the energy of the land?
God, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You even in the booking form to book this podcast slot with you, you asked me what land we're on.
Yeah.
We're on, I truly believe each piece of land in different parts of the world have different energy.
Yeah.
And they have different purposes. Like some areas are for, I lived in Byron Bay for a bit. There's parts of Byron that are for childbirth. There's other parts that are for healing. You travel where we used to run the book retreats on North Stradbroke Island off the coast of Queensland in Australia. The actual beach where we would run them was one of the first Dreamtime stories from the Aboriginal people, where they would talk about the lightning, the storms that would roll in, the lightning would come, hit the sand and create glass. And so for the Aboriginals, that particular beach was known as a place of creation, because previously there was nothing but sand, the lightning came, and then there was glass.
How extraordinary.
So that's why we would write books there, because the indigenous heritage of that particular spot.
Yeah.
Right. And the beach is maybe 200 meters in width.
Yeah.
Right. That particular, you go further that way or further that way, different stories.
Yeah.
This particular beach. And I walked that entire island in 2014 before we even began the book retreat program to find the exact right spot. And I got to this beach. I'm like, this is it. I didn't know the Dreamtime story. I didn't know any of the modern history stories. So where does the energy come from? I think it comes from environment and place. So if someone's sitting there listening to this going, okay, well, how can I make this really practical for myself? Well, have a look at your environment. Is your environment conducive to the thing that you want to do?
Yeah.
When we're helping people write books, we talk about creating a really inspiring environment. It's very light and uplifting and creative and has good lighting and it feels good. And we've got one book writer who's done 3 books with us, and she always writes with her Pablo Picasso soft toy. It's something funny, but she always brings it because it adds to her environment.
Yeah.
And that's a unique thing for her. So I think environment is absolutely huge. And then secondly, where does the energy come from? Like from the sky. Elizabeth Gilbert in her book Big Magic spoke about how there's so many ideas just floating around in the cosmic environment, just waiting for a human to go, I'm going to bring you through to Earth.
Yeah.
And so I think there's infinite potential out there. And I think that's where the inspiration comes from, is if it's almost like, I think if someone's not feeling energized, I would say, when was the last time you were daydreaming? You remember as kids, like daydreaming, sitting in the park, just looking up at the sky, looking at the clouds, or in class, looking out the window, just daydreaming of being somewhere else. Like, I believe it's that act of daydreaming that is connecting with those higher ideas. And so I think that's important as well. Like, I love to look at the night sky. I love it when it's a full moon or a crescent moon, or when the stars are out, or when you're somewhere that's not the city and it's quite dark at night. So I think it's both. I think we need to connect from both the ground and the sky. And then, of course, there's all the practical fundamentals of, like, are you doing the work that you're meant to be doing here? Like, if you're ticking boxes and you're not a box ticker, like, what the hell are you doing? And then
tell me about the health journey, because health is one of those fundamental things that, regardless of, you can be absolutely living your purpose, but if your health isn't right, you're stuffed.
100%.
How's that journey been for you?
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. The billionaires that would give everything to have their health back.
Yeah.
You don't want to end up that story. For me, I've definitely had my health challenges, and the majority of them were actually, and I just hope that someone listens to this and is like, oh my gosh, that's me as well. They were dental related. So
that's
age of 20, super short story, age of 22, I go into the dentist's office before I'm about to head overseas and play rugby in Ireland. And they go, you, Mr. Thompson, need a root canal and a filling. So I'm like, all right, well, I better get it done before I go overseas and play rugby. I get a root canal, I get a mercury amalgam filling. Little do I know that those two procedures done on the exact same tooth were then about to cause me 13 years of fatigue.
That's extraordinary.
Because what happened was the mercury amalgam would leak vapors into my body. Mercury in the body is not good. This is one of the most toxic substances known to man. How dentists can still put mercury in fillings in people's mouths in 2022 is beyond me. It is, and the thing is, I'm particularly sensitive, so it really hit me hard. It's like, why doesn't every person who smokes a cigarette die? Well, because some people have different levels of tolerance for toxicity.
Yeah.
Right. So if people are listening and they've got mercury amalgams and they've got no health problems, it's like, well, that's cool. That's your makeup. You've probably got a higher tolerance for that sort of thing. Me, fatigue, unexplained depression, unexplained anxiety, mood swings all over the show, couldn't train or exercise for more than about 5 minutes without, like, I could train once a month. That was I just couldn't, because my body, I would overheat so much, like overheat, the slight, like 26-degree day Celsius, I would overheat. So imagine living in Queensland where for 5 months of the year, it's over 30. No way. I can't go out. 5 months a year, I couldn't go outside. I had to just exist in air conditioning.
Yeah.
So for me, the health journey was firstly becoming aware of what I had been told was a safe procedure was actually not. Firstly, with the mercury amalgam, and then secondly, with the root canal. My dentist, who ended up removing the root canal, he goes, basically, that root canal it's been like you've been sucking on a sewage pipe for 13 years. So my energy would always be sinking. I'd be like, why am I sinking? Why am I feeling down? Like, I'm an up person.
Yeah.
Like, why am I down? And I felt like I had to fight to get up.
Yeah.
And then I found out about how root canals, again, another thing, they say they're safe, they're not. You cannot convince me that they are safe. It was leaking, causing me all sorts of issues. 6 days after having my root canal out, I trained for an hour.
Yeah, I remember.
And
this.
I felt amazing at the end. And I followed that up 2 days later with the exact same session.
Yeah.
Recovery just instantly came back. Energy instantly came back. So yeah, I'm really passionate about looking at the root cause of health issues and not stopping until you find the root cause, because there is a root cause, and sometimes it's straight up, it's physical, like it was for me. It was physically, the tooth was the issue. Sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's spiritual or energetic, sometimes it's mental. The root cause can operate on any number of levels, and it's just about finding, because the modern medical system discounts basically everything except the actual physical stuff they can see, and they've acknowledged, like that. I just, when my root canal came out, my dentist made me sign a waiver that said, I, Dave Thompson, hereby acknowledge that the Australian Dental Association says that root canals are safe and effective and have never been shown to cause anyone problems ever. Yet I, Dave Thompson, as the patient, am asking this dentist to remove my tooth. I am asking him of my own volition, even though this is not recommended by the regulatory bodies.
Yeah.
I couldn't sign that thing fast enough. I'm like, get the thing out of me.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I'm an ambassador for awareness.
Yeah.
Especially with oral health.
Yeah.
It's the hidden one. People don't think that it starts there. But anyway, as you can tell, I get very fired up and go on these rants about,
it's
these
fantastic.
sorts of things.
And I love that you share your stories with the world. They are so powerful. Sharing your stories with the world. It's such a gift to those who you come across. And for many people, with any story that you share, for many people, it's not going to be the story that has resonance for them. It's not what they need to hear on that particular day. But there are so many people who need to hear the story that I, for one, am so grateful that you share your stories. I know many others are too. But hey, Dave, who would have thought that sort of around the same sort of time frame, you would have had, so you've got two decisions to make. One is, do I go to the dentist? Do I not? The other one is, do I spend my last rent money on an outboard motor? Who would have thought which one would have come thumbs up? Which one would have been the, 13-year noose around your neck?
Totally.
Extraordinary.
And it's, it was, that's the journey of life, isn't it?
So true. So true. Okay, let me ask you this one though, because so tuning into health, I think a lot of people would say that they are, and yet we are so busy that I feel like health is one of those things. So I have a whole bunch of food allergies, and when I first got those sorted, I went and saw a brilliant man. He'd been lecturing in Chinese medicine at Melbourne University for 20 years. He was also a GP. And he, like, in a few minutes with me, he kind of, he's like, he held my wrist and stick out your tongue. And anyway, he said to me, you can't have dairy. I'm like, no, you're right. I hardly have any. He's like, no, not a little bit, nothing. So from that day forward, he's like, no dairy, no beans, no stone fruit. Obscure combination. But the thing is that from that day forward, everything changed for me. And this was, I went to see him because I was having trouble falling pregnant. A 4-year journey, no pregnancy. And within 6 weeks of seeing him, I was pregnant.
Wow.
It was unbelievable, absolutely amazing. And so I went to see him because I had a specific reason to see him. I had an answer I was looking to find. I didn't go and see him because I just felt awful all the time, and I felt low energy, and I felt bloated and heavy and uncomfortable and like cramping everywhere all the time. That's not why I went to see him. It was only because I had a specific reason. I had a purpose, a problem to solve. So I guess one of the things that really strikes me with you is that I feel as though the time that you're very deliberate in the time that you take in nature. Despite how busy you are, you're very deliberate at finding time for daydreaming. And I feel as though that gives you access to this intuition that many of us ignore.
Yeah. I think you've said it well. To me, if I don't do that, I feel like I'm on the hamster wheel of life. Yes. And I feel more like a cog in the wheel. Yeah. Just a part of the machine, just doing the do, not acting from inspiration. Yeah. Whereas I much prefer, like, we had a guy at the last book writing intensive who was doing a creative piece on like men's leadership. Yes. And he said to me, he goes, Dave, do I have to come to the 9 a.m. check-in every day? That's when I go surfing. Great. And I said, oh, so what happens with your surfing? And he goes, well, when I surf, as soon as I get out of the surf, I do my best work. Fantastic. So I'm like, dude, if you come to the 9 o'clock, I'm going to punch you in the face. Do not come. Right? He goes out and does his surfing, comes back in at 10:30 or something, rock and roll. So I do think it's really important to find those practices, those places that are causes of inspiration for us as individuals. For me, it's mountains with a view or oceans with a view. I need a view. I need to be able to see. And I think that ties in. I'm quite a visionary and a creator as well. So I need to see. But it'll be different for everyone. Like, I know people where their best work comes after they go for a walk by a lake, because it's the stillness of the lake, and especially if there's a mountain. Yeah. That combination of, like, what's the energy of a mountain and a lake? It's like a stillness, but with a slow flow. The lake, the water of the lake's just moving. That it's like very contemplative. To be like, how many philosopher quotes do you see where it's the philosopher sitting by the lake with the mountain? True. Yeah. So I think if we as individuals can find where's that place that allows us to dream, that allows us to connect in. For some, it might be the bathtub.
Yeah.
You know, for some, it might be I've got a friend who's just like, she's like, I just spent $800 on a 5-star hotel
Yeah.
because it makes me feel expansive. I'm like, that's an example.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, does it make sense to spend $800 on a hotel for one night?
Yeah.
It's like, well, what if that expands you in a way that gives you the insights to solve your problems, get clear on your vision, that then leads to, you know, more business or breakthroughs in your relationship, or, you know what I mean? Like 800, if you're in business and you spend $800 on a hotel and you get expansive in your feeling while you're in that hotel, and then you get an idea, that idea could be worth $100,000 to you.
Yeah. You
just made over 100x on your money.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's so, like, I've got a boat. I go out in the boat a lot. For me, that's an investment in that visionary side of me as a business owner.
Yeah.
Like, if I haven't been out in the boat, I don't feel as expansive.
Yeah.
But when I'm out on the ocean, because like other things happen for me when I'm out there too. Like I don't have a big boat, but I'm out on the wide open ocean. So it's like the
plenty big.
The adventurer, the pioneer, the risk taker.
Yeah.
You know, all of that kind of lights up in me, and then I can bring that back into business.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a very sort of attractive energy that people want to be around.
Yeah.
The adventurer, the pioneer, so that won't be the case for everyone. It's the case for me. You know, like another thing, Kath, like literally every single time I go for massage, I receive money. I get paid. Every time. It's happened for 6 or 7 years. If I want to make money, I know I need to go. If I really need money, I'm like, I'll go have a massage. Why? Because it puts me in a state of receiving.
Wow.
Without fail, Kath, 100% of the time.
Yeah.
In the last 6 or 7 years, if I go for a massage, I'll get paid.
That's extraordinary.
And it saved me on a few occasions.
Yeah.
Like one time I had $100 cash to my name.
Yeah.
The massage was $97.50. During that massage, $4,400 invoice got paid.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, okay. Again, didn't make sense to spend the last $100 on a massage, but I knew it would work for me.
I love, Dave, I love that you pay attention enough to notice that.
I think it's important. I think you've got
you're
to
noticing
look,
the patterns, you're seeing it, you know.
You've got to look at what works for you. Like, I know for me, do not put chili in my food. It heats me up too much. It does not work. Do not do it. Like, if I went around to someone's house and they served me chili, I would say, I'm really sorry, I can't do this. Yeah. Because it doesn't work. I need stuff that cools me down. Yeah. So again, it's that self-awareness to know. Yeah. And it only happens through trial and error. Like, I only knew that by having chili and going like, hold on. I'm like, this is like disrupting my system for days. Yeah. Yeah. See, it's funny though, like food ones, I get the food ones, but the other things, you know, noticing the energy around you, that's much more intangible. That's much harder to pick up on, but you actually consciously pay attention to this stuff. I absolutely love it. It's like, I think it's critical. It's like sitting down, because like where this came from, Kat, when I started in my business, no one in my family is an entrepreneur. Yeah. No one knew sales. No one knew marketing. Yeah. No one knew packaging and delivery. No one knew any of that. Yeah. So I had to learn that for myself. So I had to learn sales strategy and technique and all of this. And then I had to sit down and go, okay, I've just had this was in 2012. I was just getting going. I'd run 33 like discovery sessions. Yeah. And I'd had 2 people say yes when every single one of those 33 were an ideal client. Okay. So I'm like, why is this not working?
Yeah.
And so what that led me to was the question of, okay, the 2 that did say yes, why did it work?
Yeah.
What was common?
Yeah.
And so for the early years in my business, every month, 2 months, I would reflect on, okay, I just had a banger of a month in sales. Why? Oh, because I worked really, really hard for 2 weeks, and then I had a week adventure booked, and I was so looking forward to that adventure.
Yeah.
That it just worked. Oh, and I had a massage in there as well. Okay. Noted. Adventures work for money. So does massage.
Fantastic. Yeah, great.
Right? And then doing the same thing when it didn't work. So, okay, why is this not working? And like, one thing I know about myself, Kath, is if my relationships are not in a good open place, it is devastating for my ability to make money. It is devastating. That just happens to be something that's unique about me. So then that lends the thought, well, okay, what do I need to do to maintain and grow and nurture my relationships? Because if that is a weak point or a potential weak point, then, and look, not all relationships can be kept amazing all of the time, but just having that awareness of, okay, this is, everyone has their kryptonite.
Yeah.
So that's just what I learned about myself, is that's really important to me, that that part of my life is going well.
Yeah. I love that. And I don't think that it's, I don't think it's that unique. I think it's, I think a lot of people have a similar experience. Yeah. So Dave, tell me about anticipating the sloth.
You've been through the archives. Okay.
I have. So, with mischief and great enjoyment.
So back in 2011, you would have seen the very early wild version. Not that things have tamed all that much, just it's not quite as wild as it was. So 2011, we started the Living Outrageously podcast, and we introduced these 2 characters, talking about how you could live your life by the way of the samurai, who is someone that goes after what they want, who, is ruthless in some regards, but also very still and calm and zen. But then the timing of when they go for what they want is just impeccable. And so you could either live your life that way, or you could be taken over by the sloth. And I use the sloth metaphor as a metaphor for, I think, an attitude of apathy that it's very easy to fall into, an attitude of mediocrity that's so easy to fall into in the modern era, so easy to fall into by watching too much TV, scrolling too much, having too much sugar, just the humdrum of life can turn into a sloth-like where you're just existing. And that's the sort of life that Tim Ferriss in the 4-Hour Workweek called the living dead. Like, you're alive, but you're not really living. So you're kind of dead. And when I read that book in 2008, I got it like the day it came out. I think it came out December 2007. Like, I got it instantly. My mum got it for me, actually. It just sparked something in me that was like, that is what my life would have been like if I'd stayed in the law. Because I saw the people that I was working with. That's what I was talking to guys who were like, like a partner there. He was like, I had an opportunity to play professional rugby in Ireland, but I gave it up because I just wanted to get straight into my career. And now I'm a partner and I'm 35, but my relationship is in the can and my kids don't like me. I'm like, dude, why didn't you do the thing that was like, like you could see him light up when he talked about his rugby, and he chose not to do it. So I just had these examples of sloth-like people and energy and behavior in that very early stage. And I was to be honest, I was quite scared of it because I was scared I would become that. I was scared I would fall into it. And so I really fought against it. And that's why when you watch early episodes of the Living Outrageously podcast, I'm so animated, and we go up, we talk about sloth so much, because at that point, it was my fear of becoming the sloth that was driving me into being that samurai, and like almost dialing the energy up 50 times what it needed to be. And so where I'm at now in my life, about 10 years on, is I'm not afraid of the sloth anymore. I can still identify it from a mile away. You know, every book writer we work with, we ask them, we say at the start, do we have your permission to give it to you straight if we think that you're screwing around?
Yeah.
And they all go, yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we see the sloth in a book writer, I mean, we don't call it the sloth when we talk to them now, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, giving it to you straight, you're screwing around. And so, yeah, thank you for digging up the sloth. What a character.
I feel as though it's the time that we really need to collectively talk about the sloth, though, because of this situation we're in, where we all have screen time that's gone through the roof. You know, we're all this collective apathy. I think that fear really sends us to the couch, and where we come to is we're not connecting with nature. We're not connecting with true purpose. And, you know, life takes changes and we get busy and busy chasing what we're supposed to be chasing. And I tell you, I am, I'm really excited to have had this chat with you, Dave. I think the timing's been beautiful, and our topic has been just really enriching. I'm so glad to hear you chat on this stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kath, and thank you for it's so good to, like, I get interviewed a lot on book writing and you know, all those sort of things, but it was really nice to be asked some questions that are a bit deeper than that and a bit more behind the scenes. So yeah, thank you for being well researched and
that was good fun. It was really good fun. And I think, you know, I've been a huge advocate for anyone who I think, there's a few people who I know have got stories in them. And I've sent many people over to you for that reason. I think that you are just such safe hands, and your track record is extraordinary, but it's not just the outcomes. The outcomes are phenomenal and undeniable, but that intangible part about the process of writing a book or several with Dave Thompson is phenomenal. You know, I believe that women do help other women. I hope that this episode has empowered you to question your willingness to go last. I hope that you will embrace balance, and I'm also hoping that you will help me to help other women to do the same. So how can you help? Show your support for the work. Subscribe and review the podcast here where you're listening. Follow the Goddess of Balance on Instagram to catch some cheeky behind the scenes and extras. Connect with me on LinkedIn and share the posts with your network. That would be sensational. If you have enjoyed this program, this episode, you will no doubt love my group coaching program. You got to find all the links to these in the little written blurb for this episode. Thank you, my friend, for normalizing balance with me. We are raising performance and reputations, wellness and equality. Together, we're creating positive change for working women, starting with you. Sincerely, I thank you for being part of the movement.